The broken oath. The sky was dark, filled with smoke and fire. The ground was broken and the air smelled like burning metal. Once this place was a beautiful city full of human life. Now, it was nothing but ruins. Alara walked slowly through the destroyed streets. Her clothes were torn and her face was covered in dust and tears. She held a small broken necklace in her hand. It was the last thing she had from her family. They were gone now, taken by the alien rulers who had come from the stars. She fell to her knees in front of a burned building. Her heart was heavy with pain. Her dreams, her love, her life, all were broken. From the shadows, someone watched. Cade had been hiding in the ruins for days, living like a ghost. He had seen many humans lose everything, but something about Alara made him step out. He walked toward her, careful not to scare her. The broken ground crunched under his boots. Alara looked up. For a moment, fear flashed in her eyes. Then she saw that he was human. She stood up slowly, her hands shaking. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice soft and weak. "Cade," he said simply. "I'm just surviving." Alara stared at him. He was strong, tall, and had eyes that looked like he had seen too much. But there was something else too, a fire still burning inside him. "They killed my family," she whispered. "They took everything." Cade nodded. He knew her pain. He had lost people too, but he had learned long ago not to show his sadness. It was dangerous to look weak. Alara took a deep breath. Her hand tightened around the broken necklace. "I want revenge," she said, her voice stronger now. "But I can't do it alone." Cade did not answer right away. He looked around. Alien patrols could be nearby. Helping someone was a risk. But he saw the same fire in her that burned inside him. Maybe, just maybe, together they could fight back. Alara stepped closer. She looked into his eyes, searching for something. "Hope, maybe. If you bring them justice," she said slowly, "I will be yours. Forever." As she spoke, a strange thing happened. A soft, golden light glowed around her hand. It moved toward Cade like a living thing and touched his arm. He pulled back, surprised, but it was too late. The light wrapped around his arm and faded into his skin. Where it touched, a mark appeared, a symbol he had never seen before. It burned slightly, but it also filled him with a strange new strength. "What? What did you do?" Cade asked, his voice rough. "I don't know," Alara said, stepping back, her eyes wide. "I just felt it." Cade looked at the mark. It was shaped like a circle with a sword through it. Simple, but powerful. He felt something deep inside him wake up. Something ancient. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed through the ruins. Both of them froze. Alien patrols. They had been spotted. Cade grabbed Alara's hand. "Run!" he said. They sprinted through the broken city, jumping over rubble and hiding behind walls. Green lights from alien weapons lit up the streets behind them. They found shelter in an old subway tunnel. It was dark and cold, but safe for now. Both of them sat down, breathing hard. "What was that light?" Cade asked after a moment. Alara shook her head. "I don't know, but when I said those words, I felt something ancient, powerful, like the old stories of human warriors." Cade leaned back against the wall. The mark on his arm still glowed faintly. He felt stronger than he had in years, faster, sharper, as if a door had opened inside him. "Maybe," he said, slowly. "It's time we stop hiding." Alara looked at him, hope shining in her eyes for the first time. "Then we fight. Together." Cade smiled, a small, hard smile. He didn't know what the future would bring. The aliens were powerful and he was only one man. But now, he wasn't alone. He had a reason to fight, and he had a promise to keep. The broken world around them was silent, but something new had been born in that silence, a bond stronger than fear. Cade stood up and held out his hand. "Come on," he said. "Let's make them pay." Alara took his hand without hesitation. Together they walked into the darkness, ready to fight, ready to awaken a power that had slept in humans for too long. Above them, far away in the sky, an alien, commander named Varnock, watched the ruins through his ship. His cold, sharp eyes narrowed as he saw a faint golden light deep in the city. He felt a chill, a feeling he had not known in centuries. Fear. Find them, Varnock ordered his soldiers. Kill them before it's too late. But he was already too. The awakening, the darkness of the tunnel wrapped around Cade and Ilara like a cold, heavy blanket. Only the soft, golden glow from Cade's mark lit the way. Every sound, every drop of water, every crack of stone, echoed like a drumbeat in the silence. They walked deeper underground, away from the burning city above. They had no map, no real plan, only trust in each other and a fire growing inside. Their hearts, "Where are we going?" Ilara whispered. "Somewhere they can't find us," Cade said. But even he wasn't sure if such a place existed. Hours passed, or maybe days. Time seemed strange in the tunnels. Cade started hearing voices in the dark, soft, ancient whispers. At first he thought he was losing his mind, but then he saw. Ilara's eyes widened too. "Did you hear that?" she asked. Cade nodded. The mark on his arm was burning again, hotter this time. It pulled him forward, like an invisible hand dragging him deeper into the earth. They followed the whispers until they reached a giant door. It was round, made of black stone with strange symbols carved into it. Some of the symbols matched the mark on Cade's arm. "This is old," Ilara said. "Older than the cities. Maybe older than the aliens." Cade reached out and touched the door. His hand fit perfectly into a circle carved in the center. The door shook, dust falling from the ceiling. Then slowly, it slid open with a deep rumbling sound. Inside was a huge hall, full of strange machines and glowing crystals. The air was thick with energy. It smelled of metal and rain. In the middle of the hall stood a throne, but no one sat on it. Instead, a figure floated above it, a shadow made of light. Cade and Ilara froze. The shadow spoke, and its voice was both loud and soft, like a dream. "You have awakened the blood of the first," it said. "You have answered the call." "Who? What are you?" Cade asked. "I am the memory of the ancients," the shadow replied. "Long ago, humans were the rulers of the stars. We built empires, fought wars, loved and died. But we became weak. The invaders came, and we fell." Ilara stepped forward, her voice shaking. "Can we fight back? Can we win?" The shadow turned to her. "The power is still inside you. Inside all humans. It only needs to be awakened." The crystals around the hall started to glow brighter. The machines hummed with life. "But," the shadow warned, "awakening comes with a price. Pain, sacrifice, and blood." Cade clenched his fists. He had already lost everything. What more could they take from him? "We accept," he said. The shadow moved closer. A beam of light shot from it and hit Cade in the chest. He screamed, falling to his knees. Images flashed before his eyes. Battles in space, warriors with glowing armor, giant ships flying across galaxies. Then darkness. When Cade opened his eyes, he felt different, stronger, faster, like every part of him was sharper, ready for war. Ilara ran to him, helping him stand. But something had changed in her too. Her hands sparked with tiny blue lights and her eyes glowed softly. "You are the first of the new warriors," the shadow said. "But you are not alone. Others will awaken. Some will fight with you. Others will fight against you." Suddenly, the ground shook violently. Dust and stones fell from the ceiling. "They have found you," the shadow said. "You must leave now. Take the knowledge. Take the power. And remember, trust no one." The shadow faded, and the hall started to collapse. Cade grabbed Ilara's hand, and together they ran through the falling stones, back into the tunnels. Behind them, Alien machines smashed through the earth, chasing them. Metallic creatures with red eyes and spinning blades. The aliens had sent their hunters, machines made only for killing. "Cade, they're faster," Ilara cried. Cade looked back. He felt a surge of power in his blood. He stopped running. He turned to face the machines. "Keep going," he said to Ilara. "I'll hold them." "No," she shouted. "Not alone." Cade smiled, a real smile this time. "I'm not alone. Not anymore." He raised his hand. Golden energy exploded from his mark, hitting the tunnel walls and causing them to collapse. Rocks and dust buried the machines behind them. Ilara ran to him, coughing from the smoke. "That was incredible," she said, wide-eyed. "I don't know how I did that," Cade admitted. "But I know this. The real war starts now." They stood there for a moment, breathing hard, hearts pounding. Far above, in the alien command ship, Varnock watched the tunnel collapse on his screens. His face twisted in anger. "They have awakened the old blood," he said. "Send the hunters. Send the shadows. We must kill them before they become a legend." But deep inside, Varnock knew a terrible truth. Legends are not so easy to kill. The hunt begins. The sun was rising, but its light was weak. Ash floated in the air like snow. Broken towers stood like skeletons against the gray sky. Somewhere deep inside the ruins, Cade and Ilara moved like shadows, always one step ahead of their hunters. Cade could feel them. The machines, the trackers, the hunters, all closing in. "We can't run forever," Ilara said, her voice low. "We won't," Cade answered. "We fight, when the time is right." But first, they needed allies. Power alone was not enough. The aliens had ruled for too long, and fear ran deep inside every human heart. Most had forgotten what it meant to fight back. But somewhere, Cade believed, there were still sparks waiting to burn. They headed toward the outer lands, far from the cities. There were rumors of survivors, groups that lived hidden. In the old ruins, too wild to be tamed, it took them days. They slept under fallen bridges, ate what little they could find, and stayed out of sight. Cade trained every night, pushing his new strength, trying to understand the energy inside him. Sometimes, Ilara would watch him with a strange look, half fear, half wonder. "You are changing," she said one night. "So are you," he replied. She smiled faintly, her hands glowing softly with blue light. Sometimes she could move small objects without touching them. Sometimes she could feel the thoughts of animals nearby. Whatever power had awakened in Cade had touched her too. But they were not alone in their journey. From high above, alien drones circled like vultures. On the ground, mechanical hunters tracked their footprints through ash and dirt. And deep inside the alien command ship, Varnock was building something even worse. "Send the black hunters," he ordered. "Send the mercenaries. No rules, no mercy." And so the real hunt began. One night, as Cade and Ilara rested in an abandoned train station, they heard a soft noise, a whisper of footsteps. Cade stood up immediately, his senses sharp. Something was coming. Not machines. Something else. From the shadows stepped a group of humans, ragged and scarred. They carried old rifles, spears, and blades made from broken metal. Their leader, a woman with silver hair and one blind eye, stepped forward. "Who are you?" she asked sharply. "Cade," he said simply. "We are looking for the free." The woman laughed, a harsh sound. "There are no free people anymore. Only survivors." Cade showed them the mark on his arm. The golden symbol glowed in the dim light. The woman's eyes widened. She stepped back, whispering something to her people. "The old blood," she said. The stories were true. Cade did not waste time. "We need fighters. We need people willing to stand, not hide." "And why should we follow you?" the woman asked. Cade stepped closer. "Because if we don't fight now, there will be nothing left to save." There was silence. The survivors looked at each other. Some faces showed fear, others hope. Then the woman nodded. "My name is Sarah. We will follow. But know this. The aliens will not fight fair. As if summoned by her words, the ground shook with the sound of engines. Bright lights cut through the night. Alien soldiers dropped from the sky, and behind them came something worse. The Black Hunters. Tall, thin creatures in black armor, their faces hidden behind masks. They moved fast, like shadows. Their weapons hummed with deadly energy. "Cade," Alara said, grabbing his arm. "They're here." Cade turned to Sarah. "Get your people out now," Sarah shouted orders. Her fighters scattered into the ruins, taking cover. Cade and Alara stood alone in the open. The Black Hunters moved forward, slow and sure, like predators stalking prey. Cade felt the energy rise inside him. The golden mark on his arm blazed too. "Life. Stay behind me," he said to Alara. The hunters struck first, blinding fast. Their blades sliced through the air. Cade dodged, feeling time slow around him. He moved faster than he ever had before, his fists glowing with golden light. He hit the first hunter so hard that it flew back into a wall, shattering into pieces. But more came. Too many. Alara lifted her hands, and blue waves of energy blasted. 2 hunters off their feet. She screamed as the power surged through her, her body glowing brighter and brighter. "Cade!" she cried. He fought like a storm, fists and energy striking down alien after alien. But he was getting tired. The hunters were strong, and they did not feel pain. Sarah's fighters returned, shooting and stabbing. But it was not enough. Cade realized they needed something more. Something bigger. He remembered the visions he had seen when the shadow touched him. Ships hidden under the earth, old human weapons sleeping in silence. "We need the old ships," Cade shouted to Sarah. "They're myths," she yelled back. "They're real," Alara said, her voice fierce. Cade made a decision. They couldn't win here. Not yet. "Fall back," he ordered. "We find the ships. We find the real power." Under heavy fire, Cade, Alara, and Sarah's group retreated into the night. Behind them, the Black Hunters howled in rage. Above them, Varnock watched through his screens, his claws tapping the glass. "They run," he said, smiling coldly. "But soon they will have nowhere left to run." He turned to his generals. "Prepare the final hunt," Varnock said. "I want their heads." But deep inside, even Varnock could feel it. A storm was coming, and this time, it was human. The message of ancients, the night was cold and full of danger. Cade, Alara, and Sarah's group moved silently through the ruined world, hunted by machines and traitors alike. They had no safe place, no army, and no time. But they had something else. A fire that no alien could kill. They traveled through forgotten lands, past cities buried under ash and dust. The world was a graveyard, but somewhere under the bones of the old world, the ancients had left gifts. Cade could feel it. A pull deep in his blood guiding him. "Where are we even going?" Sarah asked, wiping blood from her face after a skirmish with a patrol. "To where it all began," Cade said simply. Alara trusted him. She felt the same pull. Every night her dreams showed flashes of something. A great machine, a hidden place, a secret waiting to be found. After 3 days of running, they reached a dead forest. Twisted trees clawed at the sky and the ground was cracked and dry. In the center of the forest, half buried in dirt and time, stood a tower. It was old. Older than the alien invasion, maybe older than human history itself. "This is it," Cade said. They moved closer. The air around the tower buzzed with strange energy. At the base, covered in moss, was a door with the same symbol as the mark on Cade's arm. Alara stepped forward. Her hand glowed blue. The door reacted, humming softly, then swinging open with a low moan. Inside, they found a spiral staircase leading down into darkness. "Are you sure about this?" Sarah asked. "No," Cade said. "But we don't have a choice." They descended into the dark. The staircase seemed endless. The deeper they went, the colder it became. Their breath turned to mist. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, telling stories of ancient wars, lost heroes and forgotten kings. Finally, they reached the bottom. A giant hall stretched before them. In the center stood a great sphere of light, floating above a stone platform. Around it were statues of human warriors, their faces stern and proud. Cade stepped closer. The sphere pulsed once, twice, and then exploded in a wave of golden light. They all fell to the ground, shielding their eyes. When Cade opened his eyes, he was no longer in the hall. He stood in the middle of a great battlefield under a purple sky. Massive ships flew overhead. Humans in shining armor fought against alien monsters larger than houses. Energy beams lit the sky. The ground shook with explosions. A voice spoke inside his mind. Hear the message of the ancients. Remember who you are. Cade turned and saw a woman in golden armor standing beside him. Her eyes were sad but strong. We were the first, she said. The first to rise beyond the stars. We built worlds. We shaped galaxies. But pride made us blind. She pointed to the battlefield. They came from the void, hungry for our light. They broke us. They made us slaves to fear. But we left seeds behind. Seeds of power. Seeds of hope. She placed her hand on Cade's chest. You are one of those seeds. Your blood carries the memory of kings. Your spirit carries the fire of warriors. The vision faded. Cade was back in the hall, gasping for breath. Around him, Sarah and the others were waking too. Ilara sat on the floor, tears in her eyes. I saw them, she whispered. The first ones. They were beautiful. Cade looked at the floating sphere. It had changed. Now it showed a map of hidden places across the world where ancient weapons and ships were buried. But there was a warning too. They are watching, the sphere said. They will try to stop you. Trust only the awakened. The ground shook violently. Sarah cursed. They found us. Alien dropships roared above the forest. Black hunters dropped like rain from the sky. Machines crawled from the ground, their eyes glowing red. We fight, Cade said, his voice full of steel. We fight, Ilara echoed, her hands sparking with blue light. Sarah's fighters raised their weapons. Even in fear, even against impossible odds, they chose to stand. The first wave hit like a storm. Cade moved faster than thought. He weaved between the hunters, striking them down with golden energy. Ilara unleashed blue blasts, throwing enemies into trees. Sarah fought like a wolf, cutting down machines with brutal strikes, but they were outnumbered. For every hunter they killed, 2 more took its place. Cade! Ilara screamed. The sphere. It's calling you. Cade turned. The sphere glowed brighter. Brighter. Then shot a beam of golden light into him. The mark on his arm burned like fire. A voice filled his mind. Release the awakening. He didn't know what that meant, but he obeyed. Cade slammed his fist into the ground. The earth shook violently. Cracks spread in every direction. Golden energy burst from the ground, swallowing the hunters and machines. The invaders screamed as they were torn apart by ancient power. When the light faded, the forest was silent. Cade stood in the center of a smoking crater, his eyes glowing. Gold, he was not just a man anymore, he was a weapon. Ilara ran to him, grabbing his hand. She was crying, laughing, shaking all at once. You did it, she whispered. No, Cade said, his voice calm and hard. We only just began. Above them, hidden in the clouds, Varnock watched. He slammed his clawed hand into the screen, shattering it. They awakened the old power, he growled. Then we bring out the shadow beasts. In the deep places of the alien ship, cages opened. Something, older and darker than the aliens themselves, stirred, breathing for the first time in centuries. The real war was coming, and this time, the universe would remember what it meant to make humans angry. Betrayal and blood. The forest burned behind them, as Cade, Ilara, and Sarah's fighters moved quickly through the ruins. Every step was a race against death. Somewhere in the skies above, Varnock's ships circled like vultures, watching, waiting. They had survived the Black Hunters. They had awakened the ancient power. But now came a deadlier game. Inside the ruined cities, not all humans were friends. Some had made deals with the aliens. Some had chosen survival over honor. And soon, Cade would learn that betrayal cuts deeper than any blade. They reached an abandoned city by the sea. Broken skyscrapers leaned like dying trees. The streets were empty, except for the ghosts of the past. Sarah called for a stop. "We need supplies," she said. "Food, water, weapons." Cade agreed. Their people were tired, wounded, hungry. He sent scouting teams into the ruins. Ilara stayed close to him, her hand never far from her blade. As night fell, a strange feeling filled the air, a sense of being watched. "Something's wrong," Ilara whispered. Cade nodded. He felt it too. A pressure, like a storm about to break. They set up camp in the lobby of a shattered tower. Fires burned low and guards were posted. Everyone tried to rest, but few could sleep. Hours later, just before dawn, the betrayal came. Gunfire shattered the silence. Cade woke to screams and chaos. Humans, other humans, were attacking them. Traitors who had sold their loyalty to Varnock for promises of food, safety, and power. Sarah's people fought back fiercely, but they were outnumbered and surprised. "How did they find us?" Sarah shouted, swinging her blade at a traitor. Cade's heart sank as realization hit him. Someone inside their own group had betrayed them. He fought through the attackers, golden energy flashing from his fists. He found Ilara holding her ground, her blue light shielding a group of wounded fighters, but it was getting worse. For every traitor they killed, 2 more came from the shadows. Cade grabbed Ilara's hand. "We can't win this fight," he said. "We have to break through." Together, they led a charge, smashing through the enemy lines. Sarah fought at their side, her blade cutting a path through the traitors. Finally, they reached the edge of the city. But the price was heavy. Half of their people lay dead or captured. Sarah fell to her knees, blood dripping from a cut across her face. "Who?" she demanded. "Who betrayed us?" Before Cade could answer, slow claps echoed across the ruined street. A figure stepped forward, wearing human armor, but with alien symbols burned into his skin. It was Darren, one of Sarah's most trusted fighters. "Hello, old friends," he said, smiling coldly. Sarah stared at him in shock. "You? Why?" Darren laughed. "Because the aliens will win. They always win. I chose the winning side." "You chose to be a slave," Cade said, his voice full of disgust. "No," Darren replied. "I chose to live." He raised his hand, and alien soldiers stepped from the shadows, their weapons aimed at Cade and the others. "Give up," Darren said. "I'll make sure you die quickly." Cade felt the power building inside him. He looked at Ilara. She nodded. No surrender. Never. Cade exploded into motion, golden energy bursting from him like a bomb. He slammed into the alien, soldiers throwing them into walls. Ilara followed, her blue energy slicing through the ranks. Sarah and the few fighters left charged with them. The street became a war zone. Cade found himself face to face with Darren. The traitor pulled a glowing blade and lunged. They fought fiercely. Darren was strong, fast, desperate, but Cade was something more. He was awakened. With a roar, Cade disarmed Darren and slammed him to the ground. "You think you're a hero?" Darren spat. "You're just delaying the end." Cade looked down at him, breathing hard. "Maybe," he said, "but at least I fight for something real." He left Darren there, broken and defeated. They gathered the survivors and moved quickly into the wastelands beyond the city. Every step was painful. Every face they had lost haunted them. That night, around a small fire, the cost of betrayal weighed heavy on them. "We can't trust anyone," Sarah said bitterly. "No," Cade agreed. "Only each other. Only the awakened." Ilara sat close to him, her head resting on his shoulder. For a moment in the middle of the broken world, there was peace. But far away, in the deep, dark places of Varnock's ship, a new evil was rising. The cages had opened. The shadow beasts, creatures older than the aliens, born from fear and rage, were awake, and they hungered for human blood. The last stand, the sun barely rose anymore. Thick black clouds covered the sky, turning day into endless gray. The world seemed to hold its breath, waiting for something terrible. Cade, Ilara, and the few survivors marched across the wastelands. Every step was a battle against fear, hunger, and loss. But they were not broken. Not yet. Cade had a vision, a memory from the sphere of ancients. Deep inside the mountains there was a hidden fortress, an old human stronghold untouched by the aliens. Inside it, they would find the last weapons of the ancients. If they could reach it, they could still fight. If they failed, humanity would be nothing more than a forgotten whisper. They moved fast, hunted by alien drones and shadow beasts. Every night, they fought just to survive. Strange creatures attacked them, things made of black smoke and teeth born from the dark corners of the universe. "Cade, they're getting stronger," Ilara said one night, after they barely survived an attack. "So are we," he answered. Inside him, the golden energy grew brighter. Ilara's power grew too, her hands crackling with blue lightning. Sarah, though wounded and weary, fought harder than ever. They reached the mountains on the fourth night. Jagged peaks rose into the sky like broken knives. The fortress lay hidden somewhere inside. But they were not alone. Varnok's army was waiting. Thousands of alien soldiers, machines taller than buildings. And among them, the shadow beasts, black monsters with glowing red eyes and mouths full of endless hunger. Cade stood at the edge of a cliff looking down at the enemy camp. His heart pounded, but he felt no fear. "This is it," he said. "Our last stand." "There are too many," Sarah said quietly. "We'll die here." "Maybe," Cade said. "But better to die fighting than live as slaves." Ilara took his hand. "We fight. Together." They made a plan. At sunrise they would attack. Not because they could win, but because they had no other choice. That night, around a small fire, Cade spoke to the fighters. "We are not many," he said, "but we carry the blood of kings, the fire of warriors. They think they can crush us. They think they can erase us. They are wrong." He raised his fist. "Tomorrow we remind them who we are." The fighters cheered, some with tears in their eyes, some with blood still on their faces. They were not an army. They were a storm. Before dawn, they moved silently into the valley. Then the sky exploded with fire. Varnok's forces had seen them. Sirens screamed. Alien ships roared down from the sky. The ground shook under the march of machines. Cade charged forward, golden energy blazing around him. Ilara followed, her blue lightning tearing through the enemy ranks. Sarah and her fighters fought like demons, refusing to fall. The battlefield became a sea of chaos. Fire, smoke, screams. The shadow beasts came, faster and deadlier than anything they had faced. One leaped at Cade, its black claws slashing the air. Cade caught it mid-jump and slammed it into the ground with a roar. The golden mark on his arm burned hotter, spreading energy through his body. He fought like the warriors of old, every strike a storm. Ilara was a blue flame, moving between enemies, striking them down with bursts of pure power. But it was not enough. For every enemy they killed, more came. Sarah was surrounded, fighting bravely, but she was bleeding badly. Cade fought to reach her, but a wall of shadow beasts blocked his path. Sarah looked at him, smiled faintly, and raised a grenade. "For the free," she whispered. The explosion shook the valley. Sarah was gone. Rage filled Cade's heart. He roared, unleashing a shockwave of golden light that blasted enemies in every direction. Ilara screamed, her power surging higher, blinding the battlefield in blue fire. Still, Varnok's forces pressed closer. Then Cade saw it. The entrance to the fortress hidden behind a waterfall of stone. "Ilara! The fortress!" he shouted. They fought their way toward it, every step a battle. The last fighters fell one by one, buying them precious seconds. Cade and Ilara reached the gate. Strange symbols covered it. The mark on Cade's arm glowed brighter and brighter, He slammed his hand against the gate. The mountain shook. The gate opened inside. Great machines powered up after centuries of silence. Giant cannons rose from the ground. Energy shields hummed to life. The fortress awakened. Alien ships fired from the sky, but the shields blocked them. The ancient weapons struck back, blasting the ships out of the air. The tide was turning. Cade and Alara stood at the heart of the fortress side by side. They had awakened the last hope of humanity. Far above, Varnock watched in rage. "They dare," he hissed. He turned to his generals. "Prepare my personal guard. I will crush them myself." For the final battle was coming. Cade knew it. Alara knew it. The last stand had begun, and this time, it would be the aliens who tasted fear. Forever, as promised, the fortress walls trembled. As the final army approached, Cade stood at the highest tower, his golden eyes watching the horizon. Endless rows of alien soldiers marched toward them. Dark ships floated in the sky like death itself, and behind them all came Varnock, the alien king, armored in black and silver, his red eyes burning with hatred. Alara stood beside Cade, her blue light dancing around her fingers. "This is it," she said softly. "This is what we were born for." Cade answered. They had lost so much, friends, family, dreams, but they had never lost each other. Inside the fortress, ancient machines waited, weapons crafted by human hands long before the world was broken. Great cannons charged with glowing energy, towers ready to unleash storms. Cade turned to the small group of survivors, fighters who had refused to break. "Today we fight," he said. "Not just for ourselves. For every voice they tried to silence, for every dream they tried to kill." The survivors raised their weapons, fierce and proud. "We are the storm," Alara said, her voice clear and strong. "We are humanity." As the sun rose, turning the sky blood red, the final battle began. Varnock's army charged. The fortress roared back. Energy blasts tore through the alien ranks. Ships exploded in fire. But the enemy was endless, like a black wave crashing against a dying shore. Cade and Alara led the defense. Side by side, they fought. Cade moved like a force of nature, golden energy ripping through machines and monsters alike. Alara was a blue storm, her power striking with deadly beauty. But Varnock was coming. Nothing would stop him. Cade met him on the battlefield, the two forces colliding like gods. Varnock was faster, stronger than anything Cade had ever faced. His sword crackled with dark energy, and every blow shook the ground. Cade fought back with everything he had, fists of golden fire, strikes of pure rage. But Varnock was ancient, a master of war. "You are nothing," Varnock hissed. "A child playing at war." "Maybe," Cade said through gritted teeth. "But I remember what you fear." He struck hard, pushing Varnock back. At the same time, Alara battled the shadow beasts. She moved faster than thought, her body burning with blue fire. But she was tiring. Every use of her power tore at her strength. Suddenly, a shadow beast broke through and slammed her against the stone walls. "Alara!" Cade shouted, turning toward her. That small distraction was all Varnock needed. He struck, his dark blade cut deep into Cade's side. Blood poured out. Cade fell to one knee, gasping in pain. Varnock laughed, raising his sword for the killing blow. But before he could strike, Alara stood between them, arms raised. Her blue light flared so bright it blinded the battlefield. "You will not take him," she said. Her power slammed into Varnock, throwing him back. But the cost was too high. Alara fell to the ground, her body trembling, the light fading from her hands. Cade crawled to her, grabbing her hand. "Stay with me," he whispered, his voice breaking. Alara smiled weakly. I swore to be yours. Forever." Cade's heart shattered, but something inside him snapped too. Something deeper than pain, stronger than fear. The mark on his arm burned brighter than ever before. Golden wings of energy spread from his back. The ground cracked beneath him. The sky above twisted and howled. He stood up, full of power not even the ancients had seen. Varnock attacked again, roaring in fury, but Cade moved faster. He dodged Varnock's blade, grabbed the alien's throat, and slammed him into the earth. Golden energy poured into Varnock, burning through his armor, his flesh, his very soul. "This is for Ilara," Cade said, voice full of fire, and with a final roar he ended Varnock. The battlefield went silent. The aliens, seeing their master fall, broke and fled. The fortress stood tall, proud against the morning light. Cade fell to his knees beside Ilara. Her breathing was weak, but her eyes opened. "You did it," she whispered. "We did it," he said. He lifted her gently, holding her close. Around them, humans rose from the ruins. They were bloody, broken, but victorious. The world had changed. Freedom was theirs again, bought with blood and sacrifice. Cade kissed Ilara's forehead. "Forever," he said. She smiled, and in her smile was all the hope of a new world. They sat together as the sun rose higher, bathing the earth in golden light, and for the first time in a long time, humanity dared to dream again.